stood on this right side of history when it came to making everybody subject to the same rights and responsibilities as American citizens. And say in an auto industry, you go down the list, and it's been pretty productive. But I tell you, so that's what I think about when I get up in the morning. This is all while I'm just brushing my teeth. But what I think about at the end of the day is how much more has to be done. What I think about at the end of the day is the story that I hear in a letter or from somebody in a rope line who lost their job and no matter how hard they try, haven't been able to get one again and are worried now about losing their home. Or I think about somebody who's fortunate enough to have a job but hasn't seen a raise in 5 years and are trying to figure out whether they're going to be able to retire. Or I think about the young person who says, I started school, but I had to drop out because I just couldn't sustain the debt. Or I think about the young person who comes up to me and says, Mr. President, thank you for deferred action. I was brought here when I was 5 years old, and I consider myself as American as anybody else, but I don't have papers, and you help me, but I'm worried about my mom and my dad and what might happen to them if we don't get immigration passed. I think about the military families that I meet and the young men and women that I meet at Walter Reed who've sacrificed so much, in some cases unimaginable sacrifice for our security and our liberty. And think about the work that we still have to do to make sure that our veterans are treated with the honor and the respect and the support that they have earned. And I think about all these young kids, running around, 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds, and how much promise they've got and potential and energy. And if we could just make sure that they're getting high-quality early childhood education when they're young, it doesn't matter how poor they may be right now, there's nothing they can't achieve. But I also think about the fact that we're nowhere close to providing the kind of support that is required to make sure every child in America actually has opportunity. I think about the amazing young scientists and researchers who are coming up with cures for Alzheimer's or cancer or HIV, but who tell me, we're running out of research money. And it seems like each year, fewer and fewer research grants are available, and we're not sure how much longer we can keep going despite all these promising avenues that we have. And I think about the small business people who are doing great work, but still feel as if the tax code is tilted in favor of folks who are going to hire big shot attorneys and big shot accountants, and somehow they don't feel like they're getting a fair shake. And they can hire lobbyists to set up a bunch of loopholes for them. And I think about the incredible beauty of the state like California, and I wonder whether or not we're moving fast enough to deal with climate change so that that same beauty will be available for our kids, our grandkids, and generations to come. And so my day starts off with great promise. And my day ends, and I look at my checklist of stuff I got to do, and I'm thinking, man, we've still got a long way to go. And 3 years like that. It'll go like that. And those of us who have kids know how fast it goes because Malia and Sasha, they're like weeds. They just... So the question then becomes, understanding that we're never going to be able to get everything done that needs to get done right now, right away, that we live in a democracy in a big, complex country, and there's a lot of disagreement, and there's a lot of ideas being contested, and regional differences, and cultural differences that we experience. Understanding that it's not all going to happen overnight, the question becomes, what during this moment, this week, this month, this year, next year, the next 3 years, what can we do to continue to advance this core idea that here in this country, doesn't matter what you look like, where you come from, who you love, what your last name is, if you work hard, you can make it. And by you making it individually, somehow all of us are a little bit better off. How do we vindicate that idea? How do we keep on pressing it forward? Now, what's hampering us right now is not that we don't have good policy ideas. We know what works. We know right now that if we had a budget that invested in rebuilding our infrastructure, our roads, our bridges, our ports, smart grids, broadband lines, we know that we'd create jobs right now and improve the economy right now and grow it faster right now, and we'd be laying the groundwork for growth for decades to come. We know that. We know it's true, we've done it before. It's part of how America became an economic superpower. We know that if we invest in basic research, incredible companies like those in this region are going to be created faster. We're going to be creating products and services that none of us even imagined. We know that. We know if we invest in early childhood education, bigger bang for the buck than just about anything we could do. Every dollar we invest, we'd save $7 on the other end, because young people would have done better, less likely to get into trouble, less likely to go to prison, less likely to be dependent on the state. We know it. These things shouldn't be controversial. We know we can actually pay for it while bringing down our deficit. The deficit's been cut in more than half since I came into office. And come down faster than any time since World War II. So we know that we can bring down our deficits, but we could still invest in the things I just talked about, closing a few tax loopholes, making some modest reforms to make sure that our social safety net is there for the long term. And by the way, the things I'm talking about, they're not even particularly ideological. They're just common sense. So what's stopping us from doing it? Well, it's politics. What we know is the fact that right now in this country, there's at least one faction of one party that has decided they're more interested in stopping progress than advancing it, and aren't interested in compromise or engaging in solving problems. They're more interested in scoring points for the next election. Now, look, I'm in public office. I know a lot of politicians. It's not as if Democrats have no blemishes. Everybody who's in public office is mindful of polls and mindful of how things play. That's the nature of the job, and some of it's legitimate. You're trying to pay attention to what the people who sent you there are saying. You want to try to pay attention to their concerns. But part of public service is also leadership. It's also saying there's certain things that are right. There's certain things that have to be done even when they're hard. There's certain things where we actively seek to govern and to work with the other side. Even if we don't agree with them on 100% of things, there's 60 or 70 or 80% of the things that we do agree on. Let's go ahead and get those done, and then we can argue about the other stuff. Somebody keeps on yelling executive order. Is this it turns out, the reason I'm going to actually pause on this issue, because a lot of people have been saying this lately on every problem, which is just sign an executive order. And we can pretty much do anything and basically nullify Congress. And unfortunately, well, wait, before everybody starts clapping. That's not how it works. You know, we got this Constitution, we got this whole thing about separation of powers. So there is no shortcut